Hello everyone, Professor GonGoon here. People often ask me, which is more important, decision making or mechanics? I'm of the firm belief that decision making is infinitely more important, but I think game knowledge is more important than both. Before I explain why, here's my definition for each of them. Knowledge is facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. That's literally the Google definition. Experience being playing the game, and education being YouTube, streams, guides, etc. Decision making. The ability to use your knowledge to the fullest to make the best decision in any given situation. And mechanics, your ability to control your character and execute your ideas reliably. Some people may consider them the same, but I believe that decision making stems from knowledge. A few days ago, I uploaded a NASA's commentary, and at the start of the laning phase, I mentioned that I knew that their jungler started topside because Kale came to lane late and she was missing mana. This means I can try to shove her in without having to worry about jungle pressure because it's highly unlikely that Yor ganks me without his red buff. But I also know that my jungler started bottom side, which means he'll end his route on the top side of the map. I knew if Kale shoved top, she'd be exposing herself to a gank. She has no escapes aside from flash, and I have Wither, and Hecarim has a knockback plus red buff. It's almost impossible for Kale to escape that if she's overextended. So knowing this, I let her shove me in. You can see how knowledge and decision making works together. I know I have these two options available to me. I can push, or I can let her push so she gets ganked. And now that I know what my options are, I can decide on which one I think is best. But a lot of players don't even know that they have these options, these choices to make. They just walk into lane and immediately start auto-attacking and using their spells. They play using the Moscow 5 motto, see hero, kill hero. And later on in the commentary, I constantly ask myself if I should split push or team fight. Here's the scoreboard so you can see both team compositions. You should pause the video here and ask yourself what you would do. Looking at the scoreboard, we can see that Ryze and Vayne are both super fed. And when you think of late game champions, Ryze, Vayne, and Kill all show up on that list. It's extremely difficult for me to handle Vayne or Ryze because they can endlessly kite me, and when you throw in Janna, there's basically nothing I can do. Vayne also has Mercurial Scimitar, which means I can't even wither her to lower her DPS. And even if we do somehow manage to get onto their carries, they have Janna shields and heals, and Kale ult. Also keep in mind, even though Kale is really far behind in CS, at this stage of the game, she's a major threat as well. Meanwhile, on my team, both of my carries are behind. Only me and Hecarim are ahead, but at this stage of the game, compared to AD carries and mages, bruisers, for the most part, are irrelevant. So when I put all of this together and think about it, split pushing seems to be the only viable option to me. If I had the Vayne or Ryze on my team, I'd probably choose the team fight because they just need a front line to protect them. But when my carries are so far behind and theirs are so far ahead, I'll just die instantly while my carries struggle to kill their front line. And a lot of people don't think about these things. They kind of know what split pushing is. They'll tell you to split push, you go to a side lane and push it. But they don't know when to split and when to group. They don't know how to split push effectively. They may have heard somewhere that Jax is a split pusher, so they split all game and never group. But sometimes grouping is better than split pushing, even if you are playing a split pushing champion. And I wouldn't even say that they have bad decision making. They just don't have enough game knowledge to think about things at this level. And that's not to say that mechanics aren't important, because they are. But very rarely do I feel like I lost because I mis-executed a play, nor do I think my mechanics are what's preventing me from climbing. It may happen from time to time. You mess up a fight early game and the enemy team snowballs off of it. But when I look back at most of my replays, I think, maybe I shouldn't have recalled here. Maybe I should have teleported instantly instead of hesitating. Maybe I shouldn't have tried to last hit those ranged minions because I ended up taking too much harass. Maybe I should have itemized differently. Maybe I should have split push instead of grouping. Maybe ganking top and getting first blood tower was more important than securing Cloud Dragon. I thought I could win that all in, but I guess not. Next time I play this matchup, I'll keep that in mind. These are some of the things I think of when I watch my replays to improve. It also depends on what role you play. AD carry in mid tends to require more mechanics than other roles, but that's not always the case. For example, if support is 10% mechanics and 90% game knowledge and decision making, I'd say AD carries could be 50% mechanics and 50% game knowledge and decision making. These are just random numbers, don't take them as facts, But knowing how a matchup is supposed to play out, how and when to trade, and which targets to focus are all important skills for an AD carry. And for top lane, there's a big difference in mechanical skill between a good Riven and a good Nautilus. And if you think you're liking good mechanics, then play champions who don't require insane mechanics to do well. Last Shadow released a few tier lists last season, and in them he mentioned that low mechanical champions are the best if you're below master tier. And for the most part, I agree. Instead of having to worry about learning a champion's mechanics, you can instead focus more on improving your game knowledge, decision making, and fundamentals. So how do you gain more knowledge? As with anything, you gain knowledge through experience and research. Every game you play should teach you something to help you in your future games. If you die to a Netin at level 3 4 times in a row, then maybe on that 5th time you give up CS so you don't die. Hey, the enemy jungler did red to cross for a fast level 3 and first blooded me 20 times in a row. Maybe I should drop a ward at 2 minutes to scout him out instead of flaming my jungler. And that's how you improve and gain knowledge. You also gain knowledge by researching. For example, what you're doing right now, watching my YouTube videos is a great way to help you improve your game knowledge and decision making. I'd also recommend Last Shadow's YouTube because he's pretty knowledgeable about the game and has some great VOD reviews on his channel. Also check out streamers that commentate. My 2 favorite commentary streams are Skara and Quas. There are also tons of guides and resources out there that you can read to help you improve your overall game knowledge. And there's one more important point that I want to mention. I'm not sure how many of you were here during the Mad Life era, but for me, he was the original god before Faker. He was the first person to reliably predict where an enemy would flash or dodge to on the pro stage. Someone might look at all of his Thresh plays and think, wow, this guy has amazing mechanics. And while I don't doubt his mechanics, predictions are based off knowledge. He was probably thinking to himself, the only way this guy can live is if he flashes in this direction. I won't throw my hook to where he currently is. Instead, I'll throw it to where I expect him to flash to. The ability to do that accurately requires a high amount of game knowledge. So having high game knowledge can make you better mechanically. So to wrap things up, I think game knowledge is more important than decision making, and I think both are more important than mechanics. But if you want to be a great player, you need to be good in all 3 of these categories. Hopefully I've convinced you to focus more on game knowledge and less on mechanics, at least until you reach high elo. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you disagree with game knowledge being the most important, let me know why in the comment section below. If you have any topics you'd like to see me make a video on, also post them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Professor GonGoon signing out. Peace.